Okay, how's it going, TV land? It's Jim Wright with Avalon Rehearsal and Recording in Fort Worth, Texas. I'm actually working from home, kind of the pandemic, but not exactly. Usually, when a lot of mixing work happens at home, and also in this instance, I am transferring some albums dated 1943. Now, and so they're at 78 RPM. Now, one of the articles I read on the internet said that I would not encounter 78 RPM on vinyl. That was more of an older thing, that it would have been on acetate or something weird. But these albums were made in 1943. I believe that some of these are vinyl and some of these are not. This feels like a vinyl album. So I'll show you what they looks like. And there's some discoloring on the album. And actually, these albums, these right here, actually performed the best when I transferred them. All I did is, now obviously I cleaned them first. Did a little bit of sauce on there, a little bit of, this feels like velvet or something. So I cleaned the albums and I transferred them to digital. But not only, I mean, the fact that these albums are so old, and the lady that brought me these albums as a customer, her name was Linda. And she said she recorded these, in the 1940s. And I think she said she was like 4 years old. So she's on these, and her parents are on some of them. Lots of gospel albums. But as you can tell, I've got Persona Studio One open, and we're going to do some noise reduction fun on these albums I've transferred to digital. I mean, I just went RCA out to 2 1/4-inch jacks to my preamps here. But without further ado, I want to take the plugins out of this. The first thing, they were in a stack here next to me, and the first ones I did sounded horrible. I mean, just freaking horrible. And the last ones I did, actually the albums that looked the worst, actually sounded the best. And they'll actually have the least amount of work done on them in terms of noise reduction. So I'm going to play this right here, the first one. God plans the best for me. Okay, so hear that? Woo! See, that is horrible, isn't it? So I'll show you one of the things that I transferred last, and it sounds a lot more plausible. Okay, so the stuff towards the end sounds a lot better. But the first time, I was scared this is going to be an entire project of just complete nightmare in terms of audio quality. But I actually did get some good results, and I did it 2 different ways. So we're also going to have a little shootout between Izotope, noise reduction software, and Waves plugins that do the same job, basically. So I hate to say this, but I spent more money on the Izotope. I've got RX8. And so I'm probably going to end up using that on bouncing these out. But we'll go ahead and start with Waves, just for giggles. So let's turn on the inserts, but let's turn off the Izotope stuff that I'm already using. Let's go ahead and pull in my Waves stuff. Sort by vendor, please. Let's close this Izotope folder. And I've just got a ridiculous amount of plugins. I usually can't even find what I need half the time. It's just gotten out of control. But I can at least start by looking for vendor. There we go. X-Crackle. X-Crackle Stereo. Sound good? Let's start with that. So now let's do the X-Crackle here. I'm really not impressed with that. I think actually when I tried this, I didn't like the X-Crackle. So let's go ahead and get rid of this. And I think it was the noise reduction that I was trying the 2 things on. So let's see if hum, crackle, maybe let's try click just for fun. But I think it was the Z noise that I probably ended up using. Let's try this. Okay, I'm just not even doing that. That's just a beat down. Tell you what, I'll show you what I ended up using. Let's go to the RX8 decrackle. Watch. So you'll notice that all the crackling went away. Now we still have the hiss. And so we've agreed that we're going to keep this decrackle. That's going to be a constant because we'll get rid of all the decrackles all the way down the line. So now we got that hissy sound. And earlier I was playing around with an EQ. I got some interesting results with that. But let's go ahead and do a denoiser. And so let's go ahead and use a waves denoiser just for giggles. And then we're probably going to go back to what I was originally using, which was the isotope. Let's go ahead and close that crackle window. Sorry. Oh, I don't even think you guys could see the crackle that was on top of my window over here that I'm looking at. So let's go and let's do a little bit of denoising. Let's come in here to the waves. Now they've got an X noise and a Z noise. I was playing with a Z noise stereo. And I want to pull this over to my screen so you can see it. There you go. Now then, we'll start here. Okay, that's a definite improvement. I'm still hearing some little artifacts. It almost sounds like a phaser is in there. But what's funny, if you come down here and do one of the later tracks, it's not nearly as bad. Because okay, so that's not nearly so bad. That was okay, but like I said, I'm probably settled on using the isotope denoiser. But I've been sitting here playing with this for most of the morning, just trying to get exactly what I wanted, for the customer, because these are memories that she's trying to cherish for her kids and grandkids. And so she had these albums that she wanted me to turn into digital. And I was like, wow, it's mainly these first 4 or 5 or 6 songs that were just atrocious. So if I can get them to plausible, I mean, the last half of the CD, I'll probably make that the beginning of the CD, the stuff with the best audio quality. Then, okay, yeah, I heard some stuff from 1943, that's cool. And then as time goes on, I was like, okay, I've heard enough, thank you. And so at least you caught the best stuff first. So like I said, I did the Waves plugin here, and but I'm going to go ahead and get that out of the signal chain. But I wanted to show you that I played around with some waves, and that they both have a similar function. You're learning what the noise is, and then you can decide how much you want to take the noise out. But it's almost like a bullet inside you or cancer inside you. If you cut to get every bit of the bullet out, you may be losing meat that you're wanting to keep. Same thing with cancer. That's what they're always trying to fight with cancer, is how do you get all the cancer out without taking out the guy's full brain or whatever. So I'm always having to make a decision on how much undesirable sound do I leave in there, because if I cut out the whole brain, well, there's no point. I can show you a really bad example of that. Let's go ahead and pull this denoiser back up, and we can get all the noise out, but at what cost? Let's get all that noise out. Hear that? I don't hear any crackle or hiss, but at what cost? So, see? Now, so we've gotten that far with it. Now let's look at how far we've come. So let's go ahead and just kill all this. Woo! So remember, we started at horrible. We didn't get to perfect, but we got to radically improved. I mean, I love this audio stuff. I can sit around and play with it all day, but we're going to go ahead and take out the Z noise. And I'm going to go ahead and go back to my isotope. And okay, I'm trying to remember what that sounds like. See, I think I'm hearing more of the original audio and less of the noise. And like I said, remember, you're losing original audio if you get every bit of the noise out. I actually did a bunch of stuff with this on Gibson Cemetery stuff from 1991. If I got every bit of the noise out, I cut out actual full instruments. Quite the judgment call, huh? I mean, you're never going to get all of it out. But let's go ahead and go down here towards the end because we got this to sound killer. I mean, not killer, but acceptable compared to what it was. Because remember, here's where we were, just a reminder. So when we talk about signal to noise ratio, I think we had more noise than signal. But let's go ahead and go down here for fun and get something that sounds a little bit better. See, I can live with that. So we'll put stuff like that at the beginning of the CD. There you go. Okay, I just thought this was a neat project, and it was something that I wanted to remember later. Like I said, you know, albums from the early 1940s, we've managed to transfer them to digital, and in some cases get most of the noise out, and in some cases they sound like a CD. I mean, if you've got to start with a really good album. Years ago, I did somebody's album of Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat. That came out great. That was an album from like the 60s, kind of a hippie thing. That was cool. That was like a Broadway show. That album turned out great back in the day. But this was a real challenge, so I wanted to document it and I wanted to share it. Again, this is Jim Wright with Avalon Rehearsal and Recording in Fort Worth, Texas. You can hit me up at avalonmultimedia.com. All my social media is Jim Wright Avalon. I'm working in Presonus Studio One, and I'm working with Izotope and sometimes Waves. I think I'll sign off with the video. You guys have a good day. Bye-bye.